Welcome to a world cloaked in shadows, where the veil between life and death is thin, almost transparent. A world where the living walk unaware of the unseen forces that watch over them, that guard them from the lurking things that go bump in the night. These are the protectors from the afterlife, the unseen guardians who walk among us, their presence felt but rarely seen. Tonight, we delve into 3 chilling tales of the unseen guardians. Stories whispered in the dead of night, passed down through generations, each one a terrifying glimpse into the world beyond the veil. So, dim the lights, turn up the volume, and prepare to enter a realm where the line between reality and nightmare blurs, and where the unseen guardians stand guard against the horrors that await. Our first tale takes us to an old, creaky attic, its wooden beams groaning under the weight of forgotten memories and dust-covered heirlooms. The air hangs heavy, thick with the scent of decay and the lingering echoes of a time long past. Here, in this musty haven of forgotten things, an unseen guardian watches over a family, its presence a silent promise of protection. The family, the Harringtons, had just moved into the ancient Victorian, its faded grandeur a testament to a bygone era. They were oblivious to the secrets hidden within its walls, to the whispers that danced in the shadows, and to the unseen entity that had claimed their attic as its domain. 10-year-old Emily was the first to sense it, a cold spot near the old rocking horse, a flicker of movement in the corner of her eye. She spoke of a presence, a feeling of being watched, but her parents dismissed it as a child's overactive imagination. But Emily knew better. She felt a strange comfort in the presence, a sense of security that defied the eerie atmosphere of the attic. One night, as a storm raged outside, lashing the old house with wind and rain, Emily awoke to an unsettling sound. It was a low growl, guttural and menacing, emanating from the attic. Fear coiled in her stomach, cold and tight, but she remembered the comforting presence, the unseen guardian she felt certain watched over her. Mustering her courage, Emily crept out of bed, her bare feet silent on the cold wooden floor. She made her way to the attic door, the growls growing louder with each step. Her small hand trembled as she reached for the doorknob, her heart pounding against her ribs like a captive bird. As she pushed open the door, a cold blast of air slammed into her, carrying with it the stench of damp earth and something else, something ancient and undeniably evil. The growling had reached a fever pitch, echoing through the darkness of the attic. Emily took a hesitant step inside, her eyes struggling to adjust to the gloom. And then she saw it, a hulking shadow, its form shifting and swirling in the darkness. It was a creature of nightmare, its eyes glowing red in the darkness. Emily gasped, her hand flying to her mouth to stifle a scream. The creature turned towards her, its growl morphing into a deafening roar. Emily squeezed her eyes shut, bracing herself for the attack, but it never came. Instead, she heard a deafening crash, followed by an ear-splitting shriek of agony. Our next journey into the realm of the unseen guardians takes us from the dusty confines of a haunted attic to a desolate cemetery, a place where the boundary between the world of the living and the realm of the departed is thin and fragile. Here, amongst the weathered headstones and the whispering wind, we encounter a mysterious figure, a solitary sentinel who ensures the dead rest in peace. The old cemetery, known as Whispering Pines, was a place of sombre beauty, its moss-covered headstones standing like silent sentinels against the relentless march of time. It was a place of peace, but also a place of unsettling energy, where the veil between life and death felt as thin as the gossamer wings of a moth. The locals spoke of a cemetery keeper, a shadowy figure often seen wandering the paths at dusk, his features obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. Some dismissed it as folklore, the ramblings of superstitious minds, but others Those who claimed to have seen him spoke of an aura of quiet power, of an ancient energy that emanated from him. One particularly stormy night, as the wind howled through the ancient oaks and rain lashed down in icy sheets, a young woman named Sarah found herself seeking refuge within the cemetery gates. She had been caught in the storm while visiting her grandmother's grave, her umbrella turned inside out by the relentless wind. As she huddled beneath a sprawling oak, seeking shelter from the downpour, Sarah noticed a figure moving between the headstones. It was tall and slender, shrouded in a long, dark coat that billowed around it like a phantom's cloak. Even from a distance, she could sense an aura of otherworldly power emanating from the figure. Fear pricked at the edges of her awareness, but Sarah couldn't tear her gaze away from the figure. It moved with an unnerving grace, gliding through the rows of headstones as if it were one with the shadows themselves. As she watched, the figure stopped before a particular grave, its head tilting slightly as if listening to a voice only it could hear. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning split the sky, illuminating the cemetery in a blinding flash of white light. Sarah gasped, her hand flying to her mouth to stifle a scream. In that brief, illuminating moment, she saw the figure clearly. It was tall and gaunt, its features hidden in the shadows of its hat. But what truly terrified her were its eyes. They glowed with an eerie, unnatural light, a cold, piercing blue that seemed to see right through her. As quickly as it had appeared, the figure turned, its gaze sweeping across the cemetery until it landed on Sarah. A jolt of pure terror shot through her, leaving her paralyzed with fear. The figure began to move towards her, its movements fluid and silent, like a predator stalking its prey. Panic welled up inside Sarah, threatening to overwhelm her. She scrambled to her feet, her legs trembling beneath her. She had to get out of there, had to escape the cemetery and the terrifying figure that stalked her. Chapter 3. The Phantom Protector. Our tale leads us to a crumbling mansion on the outskirts of town, hidden behind overgrown ivy and whispered rumours. Abandoned for decades, the mansion stood as a monument to forgotten dreams and a haven for something sinister. An unseen force lingered, a phantom protector guarding against malevolent spirits. Known as Blackwood Manor, it had a dark history, a legacy of tragedy and despair. Locals whispered of a family torn apart by greed and madness, their souls bound to the estate. Some claimed to see flickering lights, hear faint music echoing from its empty halls. It was a place most avoided, shunned by all who knew its dark secrets. A team of paranormal investigators decided to spend a night in Blackwood Manor, hoping to document the supernatural occurrences. Led by Dr. James Hawthorne, the team consisted of seasoned investigators and tech-savvy enthusiasts. As twilight descended, the team unloaded their equipment, their voices echoing in the stillness. The air hung heavy with anticipation as they crossed the threshold into the mansion's foyer. "Remember, our goal is to document, not to be swayed by legends," Dr. Hawthorne reminded his team. His words did little to ease the growing unease that permeated the mansion. The air grew colder as they ventured deeper, the silence broken only by creaking floorboards. They set up their equipment in the grand ballroom, its chandeliers draped in cobwebs. A cold draught swept through, extinguishing several lanterns and sending a shiver down their spines. Emily shivered, pulling her jacket tighter. "There's something off about this place," she whispered. Dr. Hawthorne dismissed her concerns. "It's an old house, Emily. Don't let your imagination run wild." But even he couldn't deny the growing sense of unease, the shadows deepening, the air thick with unseen energy. As the night wore on, the team experienced unsettling events. Unexplained noises echoed, cold spots appeared and disappeared, and equipment malfunctioned. As the clock ticked past midnight, the true terror of Blackwood Manor revealed itself. A blood-curdling scream pierced the silence, echoing through the empty halls. These were the tales of the unseen guardians, stories whispered in the shadows, testaments to the forces that protect us from the unseen. Remember, not all protectors are visible to the eye. Some lurk in the shadows, their presence felt but rarely seen, their actions speaking louder than words. They are the guardians who stand between us and the darkness, the protectors from the afterlife who ensure that evil does not prevail. As you go about your day, remember their stories and know that even in the darkest of nights, you are not alone. Stay safe, and until next time, keep your lights on. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chilling tales.